It's time for the Leadership Lunch Break with Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joye. Let's tune in for today's discussion with Seneca Dunmore.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Leadership Lunch Break. I'm Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joye, and I'm so glad that you joined me today. But listen, okay, so let's just get it out. I am so excited because I have a lady who is near and dear to my heart, super special to me. Her name is Seneca Dunmore, and you'll learn more about her as we talk, but I'll just give you a little bit of history. I met her because she's a Tuskegee alumni, and so is my husband, Stephen. And when I first started the idea of doing this whole thing, Seneca was instrumental in giving me the courage to step out. So I went through her course, and we have developed a relationship ever since. We are good friends ever since, and I absolutely love her and love what she's doing for just speakers in general. She's not like your regular person who's going to tell you a little bit. She's going to give you the secret sauce and all the stuff you need. And one of the things she joked about, she said that the teachers were becoming the students. So I sat through her. She's featured me, and I have the honor of featuring her today. Yes. Welcome, Seneca.
Thank you so much, Joy. I'm so excited. Yes.
I am too. Why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself? I can't do it justice, and I'm sure they may know who you are, but I think it will be awesome to tell them a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I'm Seneca Dunmore, born and raised in sunny side of Houston, Texas. Went to Tuskegee University for undergrad, came back here to Houston and got my master's in information technology. I'm currently working on my doctorate, so please pray for me. That has been a labor of love. And started my own motivational speaking business back in 2015. So literally left corporate America in October 2014, started my motivational speaking business in May of 2015, and literally by July of 2016 was doing my very first international speaking engagement in South Africa. And so Joy is the one who went through my course, one of my courses, the Powerhouse Professional Mentorship Mastermind Program. And it's a program that's designed to teach new and aspiring speakers how to maximize and monetize their speaking business. So that's kind of what I do, who I am. On top of that, of course, I love mission work. I love serving. I love philanthropy. So a lot of my time goes to that, but I'm just in awe of just being on your show, Joy, because I was like, the teacher has become the student.
Yes. So I knew before I got any further with the Leadership Lunch Break. So if you've been following me, you know this is my very first Leadership Lunch Break with a person sitting next to me. Relative, but a person sitting next to me. And it felt like nothing else but to have you, Seneca. So thank you so much for joining me. And, it's Women's History Month, and we've been celebrating women, and we're coming up on, of course, March 8th, which is International Women's Day. And so Seneca and I talked about it, and I think the best thing to talk about right now is the 21st century woman. I mean, that is, I think it's important to talk about, share our experiences on what it means to be a woman in this age and this time, to be entrepreneurs, to be women in business, to be women of color in business. Absolutely. I think it's super important to share that. So let me ask you, Seneca, just right out of the gate, if you had to define the 21st century woman, what would you say she is now?
Progressive, right? I think progressive and innovative. So I would tell people, I'm like, 2020 for me was the year of innovation, right?
Okay, I like that.
Some new things. Why? Because, COVID forced everyone to take a hard look at themselves.
Yes.
And after they evaluate themselves and say, what is it that I really want out of life? Like, you really have to just sit with yourself for a while. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, I gotta be honest, like when those first couple of months, I was a little disheveled and I didn't like what I was seeing, right? Because I think I was like everybody, just kind of trying to find my grounding. But I think in this time, the 21st century woman, she's progressive, she's innovative. And I think 2021 is now about the year of execution.
I like that. And I think it's important too, because for most of us, 2020, as you said, we were figuring it out, trying to wrap our minds around it. But I think we were also coming out of the traditional ideas of business, of relationships, of conversations. I mean, and as a woman, we were coming out of the traditional ideas of what it meant to be a woman. Most women were in the boardroom, in the classroom, and all of those areas. And now you're in the bedroom or the living room because you're still working. Let's keep it clean, people. But yeah, we're still doing those things. But now we find ourselves reevaluating and reshaping what that looks like, because I literally sit either in my office or at the kitchen table because I'm homeschooling my kids. And that's new. So I think the innovation has come in so many ways, not just for the woman, but for the world. But even as a woman, I know Stephen and I joke, I love to cook. I absolutely love to cook. And so I used to cook Sunday dinner, right? That was my thing, cook Sunday dinner. So then one day he was like, well, what do we eat for Sunday dinner? I'm like, every day is Sunday.
That's right.
we don't have to wait till Sunday to have this big family meal anymore.
Absolutely.
I can cook any time of day, anytime. So I think it's really given us the opportunity to change the perception or even the ideas that we've had about being a woman and what that looks like now, because now it's totally on its side, topsy-turvy. We're doing something totally different. So yeah.
I agree with that 100%. Because like you said, it's like, for me, every day kind of was the same.
Yes.
Because you know how back in the day, it's like you looking forward to Friday because you waiting for the weekend to just let your hair down. And now I don't wait for special days to do self-care, to take care of me. So like every day now is like, oh, I'm bringing out the good products, right?
Yes.
I'm saving the good products.
Yeah.
How can you now, let me tell you, Joy, I can't tell you how many bubble baths I've taken since quarantine. Like I never got a chance to do that before because it was always go.
Absolutely.
So I was always quick shower and on to the next thing. Now I can actually enjoy a nice herbal bubble bath and and have a nice glass of wine in the evening and stuff like that. Everybody's home. So yeah, it did change. Business as usual, like you said.
Absolutely.
About things in a very traditional way. Now everything is kind of non-traditional, and it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, and I think one of the things you just brought up that is super important is self-care, because I don't think as a 21st century woman we talk about self-care. We got to take care of ourselves, but this last year, moving into this year, has really taught us the importance of that. So I think now the 21st century woman is more aware.
That's right.
Of the need for that time, because the walls closed in on all of us.
Absolutely.
I literally realized that starting in 2 weeks, my children would have been home one entire year.
Yeah.
Because spring break was the last time they went to school.
So,
but it's taken me this long to recognize the importance of self-care. And so because we're used to the traditional woman. You got to do this. You got to cook. You got to clean. You got to wash. You got to teach. You got to educate. You got to motivate. You got to encourage. You got to uplift. You got to uphold. We've done everything. All the ups, all the lift. We've done all of this. And now I feel like we understand as a woman, this new woman understands the importance of self-care. She understands the importance of taking time for herself. I mean, you just went on a vacation.
Absolutely. I mean, 2 weeks, right? I went to Tulum. Enjoy.
I didn't know it was 2 weeks. Okay.
Yes. I was only scheduled to be there 1 week, but I was like, you know what? But the first week was like, go. And so I extended another week to just kind of relax.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you know how like you take a vacation and then you need a vacation.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you've done so much and you've worn yourself out. And so, yeah, I extended my trip, stayed another week because I was like, you know what? I'm no good to anybody else if I'm no good to myself, right?
Absolutely.
I can't pour from an empty cup. I can't be of service and encourage and motivate anybody else if I'm exhausted. So yeah, I think women, especially women of color, right? Because for some reason in our community, we're taught to take care of everybody else.
Absolutely.
And then put ourselves on the back burner, right? Which I think that is backwards. Right?
Because absolutely.
Exactly. So then when we get to ourselves, we're so tired and worn out, right? We don't give ourselves the best. Versus if we did that on the front end and took care of ourselves first, now we can pour from a full cup, right?
Absolutely.
Our families and friends, and we can lavish them with the love that we poured into ourselves first.
Yeah, I think so. And I think we're at a point where we're okay to not always be strong. I think the 21st century woman has finally accepted I can't do it all. Well, and I'll be honest, this is my struggle. Like, this is my absolute struggle. And I find every day I find myself going back into the old Joy who had to do it all. But now I'm comfortable saying I'm overwhelmed. I'm comfortable saying I'm tired. And
Yes.
I think that's a new mindset for women in general, because we've never given ourselves permission to say I'm empty. And you're woman shamed, especially if you're a mom. Your mom shamed for deciding to take a trip without your kids, or on Mother's Day you decide not to be around your children.
Exactly.
But it's recognizing, like you said, if I'm not completely whole, full in my own self, I have nothing to give. And then when I'm giving out of lack, is dry, brittle, raggedy, crumbled. It's all the things that I don't want to invest in the people that I love or the people that I serve. And so I think this woman has finally identified that we don't have to carry the world.
Thank you. Listen, Joy, I'm so glad you said that, because I've been telling women it's okay not to be okay.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
It's okay not to be okay, because I think a lot of women realize like we were carrying more than we were built to carry.
Absolutely.
And it's okay to put some of that stuff down. And like I see a lot of mothers who feel guilty, right? Because they don't want to be. Listen, I tell mothers all the time, you ain't got to want to be around your kids all day. That's American thing, right? Because you travel outside the countries and you see how other countries have nannies and help, right? So that the women don't get overwhelmed.
Absolutely.
That's a good thing. Like, it's okay not to want to be around your kids all day. It's okay to say, I need a little bit of me time today.
Absolutely.
One of the things I think my parents did a wonderful job with us growing up is that they always set very healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
Like when my parents wanted their me time, when that bedroom door was closed, that means don't come knocking on the door.
Yeah.
We want our me time. And listen, they might have just been in there talking, reading a book together, but it was their time together.
Absolutely.
They poured a lot into us. And so they made it clear, like, hey, we've got to set some healthy boundaries.
Yeah,
and I think in this season, especially with the progressive 21st century woman, we have to be okay with setting healthy boundaries.
Absolutely.
With everybody, family, friends, foes, it doesn't matter. You got to set those healthy boundaries and protect you and your energy.
And I think so. And I think health is important because, and we always talk about health, and we spend a lot of time talking about talk about physical health. But I think the progressive woman also recognizes the importance of mental health. I can't tell you how many people I know who are openly professing that I have a therapist. I'm one of them. I think it's super important to recognize that there are things and situations and occurrences that we need to navigate. And it's hard to do that. Beverly said, I'm a mother of 5 daughters. I don't remember getting any me time. Well, Beverly me time. Me time. Take it. But and that leads right into health, because if you're not emotionally healthy, psychologically healthy, it doesn't matter how great and fit your body is.
That's right.
The batteries are going to eventually run out. The batteries are eventually going to stop. So I think it's super important for women, for us to understand that our mental health is important. So self-care is great, like going on spa days and all of that is really good. But the truth is, if you're doing that and you aren't clearing your mind or any of those things, then I think you really are doing yourself a disservice. Hey, Hannah is all the way in the UK. And so she said, can you tell me one of your boundaries you set this year and how it's helped you?
One of the things I do now that I didn't do before is I turn my phone off at a certain hour.
Like that.
So I'll put my phone on do not disturb. So after a certain hour, listen, if the city ain't burning down, if you ain't bleeding, right? Then
that's good.
I'm off limits.
That's good.
My time to do me, whether I just want to read a book in the evening, enjoy a nice bath, have a glass of wine, maybe listen to some music, do my nails, right? Work on my skin, whatever that is.
Wow, that's good.
My time now, right? Because again, we're always connected to our devices.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's true.
Sleep, right? You know what I mean?
That's true.
To the point of going to sleep. And now I have to shut down at a certain hour. to just kind of let my emotions come down, my mind just kind of run free. Yeah, that's one of the healthy boundaries that I've set for myself this season, is that turning that phone off at a certain hour and saying, listen, and telling my people, like, and listen, and I don't have to explain that, right?
Yeah. No, that's good. And I think it's important to say that Hannah just said that she likes that. She does that too. I think that's awesome. I'll be honest. Okay, confession, good for the soul, bad for the reputation. I don't do that. Okay, let's be clear. And I need to do that. I need to find those moments where I say, you know what, today is my day, or this hour is my hour. And I think for me, the challenge is, and for most women, I think, who have, especially smaller children, it's hard to communicate that. We're not good at saying, okay, right now is mommy time.
That's right.
And understanding and teaching them that boundary, teaching them that I'm going to take some time for mommy. And in this time, here's the boundary, so that they begin to respect it. Because right now, when I say it's mommy time, they're like, girl, bye. Okay. And but it's the way we communicate. And I think communicating that to many people is important, So, okay, somebody just said, LaShonda, she just said she can't turn her phone off, and gives her anxiety. What if something happens to someone? I'll say this. If it happens to someone, it was going to happen whether your phone was off or on anyway.
My point exactly. LaShonda, don't feel guilty. There are certain things that you have no control over.
Absolutely.
Right. And don't even put that type of energy into the universe. Right. Don't say that, oh, if I turn off my phone, then that'll be the day something happens and I'm not there. 9 times out of 10, I promise you it won't. I promise you the world will still keep functioning. The world will still keep spinning. Dogs gonna keep on barking. Cows gonna keep on mooing. Cats gonna keep on meowing.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Without you being present. Take some time for you, and don't feel guilty about that. And don't let anybody make you feel guilty about that.
No. I think that's good. And what you're doing, Seneca, and what we're doing, I think is awesome too, is we've got to have healthy friends who encourage help. Because if we're all dysfunctional, we all sad, we all frustrated, we're not gonna get very far. If like with LaShonda, if I say, girl, listen, I understand, it gives me anxiety too, but I don't hold her to a different standard, or like you encouraged her to be. We have to do that. And I think in this season, as women, we've got to find those healthy friends. We've got to find those healthy relationships.
Absolutely.
So that when we are depleted or frustrated, we have the right person to go to say, hey, look at me, I'm struggling. Hey, I'm a little tired. Hey, I'm a little uncomfortable. And then I have a sister friend who's pouring into me, so that we get that. LaShonda said she can't do it because they may send a welfare check on her. Well, listen, if that's the case, then that means you have people who absolutely love you. So thank God for the welfare checks, because that's what. But it's true. And I think, though, it's important for us as women now to say, I've got to take my time, but I also have to know when I don't have enough to even recharge my own battery.
That's right.
And when I can't do that, who are the people and the resources that God has placed in my life that help me recharge my batteries, or that recognize, oh, she's about to snap. Let's find healthy ways to encourage her. And I think now happy hours, trips, Zoom calls, because the world has separated us in so many ways. It's even harder now for us to find and marry that space of comfort. And because even when you're out, I know with me, I'm out and I'm still looking at people like, oh, they don't have on a mask. Oh my God, they took the mask off. So I can't even fully relax and be present in certain circumstances.
Right.
Because the anxiety of the what ifs or the what could happen has still overtaken me. Do you find that you found that, or how do you deal with that? How do you deal with those anxieties that the world has kind of put on us now that we really have no control over?
It's one of those things, like, I have ways of just kind of like calming myself down, whether that's, I love books, like I love reading books. I take a lot of long walks now, because just that moving and just kind of being out in the world just kind of calms me down, right? So I'll do a lot of walking. It might be something as simple as just taking a nice hot herbal bath, right? So I'll put different herbs in the water and stuff like that, sit in there and relax. And then, of course, travel is my thing, right? Like, I'm that girl. I will book a flight and get out of Dodge quick, fast, and in a hurry. Like, and I know we're dealing with a global pandemic, so it makes things a little more interesting.
Yes.
But I mean, literally, Joy, in 2020, I had over 20,000 flight miles.
Wow.
In 2020.
Ooh.
So even in the midst of a global
that's
pandemic,
awesome. Yeah,
I was still able to get out and still stay safe.
Yeah.
Right. But I just think you have to know what works for you. You have to know what your triggers are, and then you have to know how to work with those triggers, how to bring yourself back to a space of being grounded, right? You just have to.
And Cherie said book the flight. So
all day, Cherie.
And that needs to be the motto for a part of this year is, you know what? Let's just book the flight. Or like they say, go with the goers, do with the doers. The people who are, and that's, I think, what we need now as women to actually have that, to be those women who say, I'm going to do it. And even if it's not booking a flight, if it's starting a new endeavor, starting a new job, if it's picking up a hobby, you got to have that I'm going to do it now attitude. Because if we don't, Seneca and I wouldn't be sitting here. Because if I didn't have people pouring into me like Seneca and, family and friends who are like, you can do this, then I would still be sitting in an office right now. You would still be sitting in an office. I mean, we've got to get to a point, especially I think in this season as women, to say, I'm going to do what makes me happy. I'm going to do what fulfills my purpose.
That's right.
I'm going to do what God has ordained for my life.
Absolutely.
Because when I do that, then some of these stressors that I feel don't occur.
That's right.
Because it's hard to be stressed at work, stressed at home, stressed, in the community. So if you don't have peace in any place, then it's hard to be the woman that you desire to be. So I think it's super important to say, this is the year, like you said, of execution. This is the year that we're going to do certain things.
Absolutely. Because the thing is, people are always waiting for the perfect scenario, right?
Yes.
Kids go back to school, when the kids get out of, when my husband does this, when I lose some weight, there's never going to be a perfect scenario.
No.
People have to understand. And when you look at it, right? So most millionaires are created in down economies.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So even in the midst of a global pandemic, right, we had 2.2 million women leave the workforce between February and October of last year. So Joy, you're in the number, right? I mean, 2.2 million women. But even in the midst of that, Joy, more than 1,600 businesses are created every day by women. And 89% of that is women of color.
Absolutely.
Right. So, Joy, you're part of the 2.2 million women who left the workforce, and you're part of the 1,600 women who create their own businesses every day. Because guess what? You simply just took a bet on yourself.
Absolutely.
You bet on yourself and say, you know what? Come what may, I'm going to bet on me.
Absolutely.
We are our greatest investment.
Absolutely. And we've got to get to that point. We don't, and I'll be honest, I talk about getting this and being in this space and doing what I know I'm supposed to do. It's really hard. And had I not been pushed out the door, and I don't mean pushed that way, but had I not been in a situation where I had to make that choice, I never would have done it. So I'm going to ask you, what would you say to a woman who's in a situation who knows she's this 21st century woman, knows this is a year of execution, but ultimately she's saying, I'm afraid, or I don't even know if I can. What would you say to that woman who has to still go to work every day, who has to still, or who's not quite ready to shake off all of those things? What do you say to her? What do you say to that lady?
I would tell her the same thing my little sister tells me all the time. Do it afraid.
That's good.
Do it afraid.
That's
right?
Good.
Because
that's good.
It's like, if you're not going to do it for you, if you're not willing to be your own savior, then why you keep on looking for another savior in somebody else? Right? You have to rescue you, right? Because at the end of the day, you got to go to bed and feel, content about where your life is, who you're, woman that you're becoming. You have to be okay with you, and you can't abdicate that responsibility to anybody else. Now, hopefully, like you said, Joy, hopefully you're surrounding yourself with people in your circle who are discerning, right? And can see when the tide is turning and who will give you wisdom, right? They can see that you're overwhelmed, you're frustrated, you're depleted, right? And then they can step in and offer whatever that is, right? Offer some encouragement, offer, hey, sister, why don't you go and take the week off? I'm gonna babysit your kids, whatever that is. But in the event that you don't get that, you have to say, you know what? If today was the last day, would I be satisfied with where my life is today? Absolutely. Because most people at the end of their life, they don't regret what they did. They regret what they didn't do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That is awesome. I thank you so much, Seneca, for that. And I want to encourage all of you women who are ready to take that step to take it. This is the day. March 4th, 2021. This is the day for you to take that step. And we can't tell you what that step is. It's what's comfortable for you. And only you know what it is. Like if I were to ask anybody who's watching, what is it that you're supposed to do? I bet you could articulate it. We're all good at that. But we never take that next step. So this is the year of execution. This is the year of taking the next step. Thank you so much. So Seneca, let me ask you, what's coming up for you? What's coming up for you the rest of March? What's coming up for you the rest of March?
Trying to finish this book. It has been Labor of Love, The Power of Positioning, 7 steps to transform your greatest obstacle into your greatest opportunity. And it basically talks about my journey and how I got into motivational speaking, right? And of course, the $1 million question is like, how did you get through all of that? And it details all that in the book, right? So that's probably that is my goal for the year, right? So really get that book out. So yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'm going to hold you accountable, and we can't wait to read it. And so you see information on there on how to follow Seneca. She's on all social media platforms. So I encourage you to follow her. I encourage you to inquire about her program because it will change your life. It's changed mine. So it will absolutely change your life. It will connect you in ways that you probably never knew. And it brings out the things in you that you probably never knew existed. So Seneca, I want to thank you so very much for coming. And Seneca said the teacher became the student. So she taught me, and now I'm doing this. And
that's right.
I am so grateful for you and so grateful for all that you have done and poured into me and the encouragement that you've given me. So I publicly want to tell you thank you from the bottom of my heart. I want to thank each and every one of you who joined the Leadership Lunch Break today. A little longer than usual, but you can't stop good stuff from happening. So this has been an excellent conversation. I invite you to play it again, share it, like it, send it out to people, because the 21st century woman is taking over for the year of execution. And I want all of you to make sure that you're blessed, to make sure all of you actually get those things that are coming to you this year. So until we do this again next Thursday, of course, we will do it again at noon. You will see this replay very shortly so that you can share the love with everyone else. Have a great afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining the Leadership Lunch Break. Join us next Thursday at noon Central Standard Time for lunch as we continue our discussions. Follow Speaking of Joy on all social media platforms or visit our website at www.speakingofjoye.com. That's www.speakingofjoye.com. Until next week.